the Mindset Geek from GoToEll.com, and welcome back. Now, today's episode, we are thinking about what makes you you and what helps you to show up fully self-expressed each day. Now, if you saw today's Mindset Minute, you will already know that this is inspired by the ivy in my front garden that I attacked yesterday. Wasn't my plan for the morning, I must be honest. My husband he had a day off, he started attacking the garden. We're not great gardeners, it must be said. Our attitude to gardening is kind of like survival of the fittest. Every winter, or every couple of winters, because we're a bit lazy with gardening, every winter we go, oh, okay, it's looking a bit overrun now, we should chop it back a bit. And so we do. And I'm a little bit more enthusiastic with the old chopping than my husband is, and I tend to hack everything back. My attitude being that if it's strong enough, if it's meant to be there, it will grow up, because there's something about our garden, it just thrives even when we don't really try and help it. Maybe it's all the rain we get here in Wales, I don't know. Anyway, so yesterday morning my husband was having a little go at the garden, and he decided that we needed the scythe. Now, I am the queen of the scythe. My technique is pretty well rehearsed now with all the weeds in the back garden. So I started with the scythe on the front, on the ivy. And long story short, what I thought was ivy from next door's garden, I thought it was growing over the wall into our garden. No. It turns out this ivy is all in our garden, and it just has got so big and so crazy, it's now starting to spread over the wall into next door's garden. And so I decided to really go for this, and we cleared it all up, and it makes the whole area seem much lighter, and the path seems a bit wider now too. But like I said in the Mindset Minute, I was really inspired by the root system that this ivy had. It was incredible. There were parts of this ivy that looked quite dead, and I'm sure they actually were dead. And yet all around it, the rest of the plant was still thriving and flourishing. That's what happens when you try to say thrive and flourish at the same time. You get thriving. There you go. You've heard it here first. But it's true though. This whole plant was green and luscious and really doing very, very well. And it got me thinking about you and I and how we show up in the world and business and life and all these big things. Because if we have our root as something that is really solid and strong and grounded in us being ourselves, showing up all in, you made in the image of God, you on a good day, you. If that is where we are starting from each day, that allows us to flourish and thrive. And yes, I did have to think before I said those words. But it allows us to step into each day without having to have all of the pieces together. A bit like the ivy. The ivy it has got a few dead patches, but you wouldn't know it from looking at the plant because it's grounded, it has strong, solid roots, very strong, very prolific roots, I can tell you. And the same is true for you and I. And so I wanted to encourage you today to take some time to think about what it means to have really strong roots. What does that look like for you? And if you're feeling a bit sort of, not really sure, a bit flippy floppy and wibbly wobbly around this stuff, who can you reach out to? Or what can you do to get that support that you need to try and just get some roots, for want of a better expression? And I think it starts really by deciding who it is that you are. Who are you at your very core? Now, one of my favourite Christmas films is Rise of the Guardians. Not Guardians of the Galaxy, although I do like that one too. Rise of the Guardians. And it's a kids' film. It's an animated, I think it's by DreamWorks, but I could be wrong. But anyway, long story short, there's Jack Frost, and Jack Frost doesn't really know who he is. And so Father Christmas takes him to the North Pole. And it's a very jolly but Russian Father Christmas. And in this particular version of the story, in case you haven't seen it, he's huge. I mean, he's got like tattoos and he's really big and strong. But he says to Jack that right at his core, he's a child and he's about play, I think I haven't seen the film for a while. I'm sure that's what he was about at the centre. He was about fun and play. And so he said to Jack, look, what's your core? Who are you at the very heart of you? And that's really what we're talking about when we're talking about your root. Now, you might be wondering, what does this have to do with mindset? Because that's who I show up as. I'm your mindset geek. I would tell you that it's all connected, because you can't show up with a positive and a growth mindset if you're feeling a little bit and uncertain and wibbly wobbly about who it is that you actually are and how you want to show up. So all of it is connected. You'll have heard me talk perhaps before about holistic happiness. You know, if you are having a more contented and delightful day, it's easier to show up in the world with that sense of fun, and you get more done. Business is more prolific. Everything feels easier, and all of that has an impact on your happiness. Holistic happiness. And that is why I'm talking about this stuff today, because it all has to do with mindset. You know, how the thinking in your brain affects how you do life on a day-to-day basis. So if you haven't already got a clear sense of who it is you really are, I would encourage you today to take some time to think about it. And as we talked about last week in the Mindset Minute on Friday, I think it was, you get to pick. You know, I told you in the Mindset Minute that you get to choose your label. You get to choose what's at your core as well. You are made in the image of God. You're created to be you. But what that looks like, who you are, nobody else has to choose that. You can choose how you show up. You can choose what to make your core, what to make your root. And so if it feels a little bit uncertain, if you're not sure, I would encourage you to play with it, experiment. There aren't any right or wrong answers. And if you play with it and you're not sure, change it. Much like labels, you don't have to stick with this stuff forever. But the very first step is to decide to think about it and then move forward from there. Like I've said before, I love doing these episodes for you. I love sharing them with you. But if I was to know that you were just going to watch it, yeah, okay, that's nice, Elle, and then go off into the day and do nothing with it, I'd stop recording them straight away, because this isn't about just having something to put out there. This is about helping you to make a difference in your day-to-day life. So really, if you're not sure who you are, if you're not sure what your route is, I would really urge you today. I know you've probably got lots of stuff to do, but just take 5-10 minutes, make yourself a cup of tea or a coffee and give it some thought, okay? Excellent. And as ever, if you're an entrepreneur who'd like some help and support with this stuff, I'd encourage you to go to elle.com. Sign up. There's a free MP3 called Good Morning. It's a sort of chirpy little thing to help make your day delightful. But more importantly, you'll also get my weekly email, which digs into some of this stuff, the stuff that I don't put on the public domain, behind the scenes stuff. So if you'd like some support with that, go to elle.com. In the meantime, smile. Have yourself a delightful day. I've been Elle from GoToElle.com. Take care.